Souter, let's go. That I can promise you. I cannot wait to watch you play. I cannot wait. Unleash our culture, our way of doing things, our brotherhood on them from the jump.
There was a rainbow over FAU Stadium as the Owls got ready to face the Ohio Bobcats, but there was no sunny outcome for Florida Atlantic last Saturday evening. Welcome to Inside the Owls Burrow alongside the Haggerty family head football coach Tom Herman. I'm Frank Fort. A tough, scrappy game against Ohio. You called it one of the strangest games, and it got off to a fantastic start with Jackson Ambush interception on the first play, but then on the next play, a highly questionable hit on Jaquan Burton not only knocks him out of the game, results in a turnover, and even though it was the first minute of the game, I thought that was a huge moment for a lot of reasons.
Well, it was, and thankfully, Jaquan, we don't think is going to have any permanent damage. He's got a concussion. He's got some teeth that were knocked out, and so we're glad that nothing more serious than that occurred. But yeah, we've got to learn how to respond to that, and that was certainly emotional. One of our leaders and better players on offense to see him in that position was definitely difficult, and I don't want to downplay that by any stretch, but we definitely, he would want us to, have responded better than we did in his absence.
Coach's interview each week is brought to you by Phil Smith Automotive, driving the Owls to victory together in style. I'm sure you're not used to seeing your offenses struggle that much as they did. What were some of the reasons behind the lack of productivity?
Well, I think it's and you're right. I think I went back, and it might be the worst, even way back as an assistant at Sam Houston State. And I think the first thing, hopefully our fans and everybody realizes, I know we certainly do, that Ohio is a really, really good football team. That's them. So it was a very good opponent that hit us in the mouth, certainly on that side of the ball, very well coached, in the right place at the right time with a lot of speed and physicality, and we didn't respond, and there's not a better way to put it. I think, as a team, although the defense is going to get a lot of credit, we were not ourselves. We played by far a perfect game, and we just didn't get exposed on that side of the ball as much as we did offensively. And I told the guys on Sunday that this is a really long season. We have not played a conference game yet. If Ohio is the barometer for a really good championship level team in our conference or a comparable conference, then I think we had what was a very necessary wake-up call that we can't do things our own way. We had a master class put on against us on discipline, on being at the right place at the right time, and knowing your keys and your reads and the whole nine, and we were the exact opposite. As I told them, when you lose a game, the only failure in that is not learning from that. When adversity strikes, let's not respond the same way we've always responded. Let's respond the way that we're coaching and teaching and preaching you to respond, which is to go back to doing things exactly the way that you're coached to do them.
LeJontay Wester overcame a couple of early drops. He was targeted 14 times, 12 catches, over 100 yards, and then gave you a chance to tie the game in the fourth quarter with a big punt return. So a great effort by him.
The competitor in him, sits up at night and thinks about some of those, a couple of those early drops, but he is a guy that, when the game's on the line, and in critical situations, anytime in football, the old adage goes, you think Jimmys and Joes before you think X's and O's, and it's get the ball to your best player, and I thought Coach Fry did a really good job of that towards the end of the game, and certainly the punt return, set us up for one last chance.
We saw Jackson Sumlin with his first two catches as an Owl. He battled an injury throughout camp. Is he a guy, and he looked pretty smooth in the spring, is he a guy who could be a bigger part of the passing game as we go forward?
I hope so, yeah. He's a converted receiver, played receiver in high school, coach's kid, tremendously smart, has grown up around the game. The injury certainly set him back, but he has, when healthy, shown, some really, really good flashes, and we're excited that he's on the mend, and hopefully will be even healthier this week than he was last week.
If we'd have sat here last week and said, you're going to get 3 takeaways and Ohio would get 17 points and you'd score a defensive touchdown, I think everybody in Owl Nation would have signed up for that.
I think so too, and you're absolutely right that, had we had any semblance of some kind of rhythm offensively, the game would have been a lot different. But again, the silver lining is, we can learn really truly how close we are, and then take the steps and actions necessary to make sure that those mistakes don't continue to repeat themselves.
Jaron Morris had the big pick six, put you up 10-0, and even the interception aside, looks like he's become a pretty important part of your defense.
He has, he fills the run really well for a guy of his stature, and is really, really smart. He's played a lot of football. He's played corner at the Division I level. He's played safety at the Division I level and played nickel at the Division I level. So, this is a guy that's played every position in the back end, kind of knows it like the back of his hand, and has been a real asset to us since he's gotten here.
All right, this week on the road at Clemson, Tigers did not look good in their first game, a loss against Duke, struggled in the first half last Saturday against Charleston Southern. Then they put up 42 in the second half to eventually win in a rout. But they're a quality program. We know what we're getting into, particularly a night game in Death Valley.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first thing, is we've got to handle the atmosphere. It's certainly a lot different than in some of the places that will play on the road in our conference schedule. So, but my message to the team is going to be to enjoy it as well. This is why you play college football. This is why you come to a Florida Atlantic, to have opportunities to play in games like that. So we know we've got our work cut out for us, but the beauty of what happened against Ohio is, I don't think anybody has any doubt with what we've been preaching, is that our best is good enough. Because to play that poorly, especially on one side of the ball for an entire game, and be 7 points, come out 7 points behind a team that played for their conference championship, a team that's got a staff continuity for 15 years. That is kind of the goal, but it takes time. But we also know it does take time, but look at how close we were playing not our best, but probably our worst game on one side of the ball. And so if there was any more evidence needed to our players, I don't know how to get it, because that was, I think it's extremely important maybe for us to experience just really the effort and attention to detail that it takes to beat and compete for championships.
All right, Tom Herman's Pop Culture Pop Quiz, brought to you each and every week by FAU MBA in Sport Management. We're going to go one-hit wonders from the 90s. It takes two. It takes two to make a thing all right. It takes two to make it out of sight. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to wreck the microphone.
Because I get stupid. I mean outrageous. Stay away from me because I'm contagious. Eric B. and Rakim?
No.
DJ, tell me.
Easy Rock.
DJ Easy Rock and
Rob Bass.
Rob Bass.
All right, one more.
Okay.
Humpty Dance.
Oh, that's, Digital Underground.
There you go. Yeah. You got 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
Coach, best of luck against Clemson. We'll talk
much.
to you next week. Coming up next, get to know guard Dorian Hinton in Pads Off. That's straight ahead on Inside the Owls Burrow. Inside the Owls Burrow is presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, the official sports medicine provider of Florida Atlantic Athletics. By Adidas. By Cedars, no better hummus. By FAU MBA in Sport Management, nationally renowned and ranked number 11 globally. By Phil Smith Acura, driving the Owls to victory together in style. By Sage Dental, the official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com. And by Shiner Law Group, injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more.
Here we have LeJontay Wester's punt return. Huge play in the game with only a few seconds left and no timeouts. Needed a big return to set our offense up. I think it starts with Michael Antoine right here blocking the deep snapper just to get it started. Everybody straining. It's a middle return, straining to finish their blocks. And LeJontay doing a nice job setting it up on the edge and then sticking his foot in the ground, getting vertical behind the blocks, and really giving our offense a legitimate chance to tie the game up.
Welcome back to Inside the Owls Burrow. Each week we like to get to know an Owl player a little bit better with some of his likes and dislikes off the field. This week it's guard Dorian Hinton in Pads Off. Pads Off is brought to you by Sage Dental, official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com. This week in Pads Off, our guest is guard Dorian Hinton from Naples, Florida. Growing up on the left coast of Florida, do you have a favorite NFL team or player?
My favorite NFL player would have to be Trent Williams, probably. I like the way he plays. He's pretty aggressive and he has some pretty neat moves too. So,
what is your dream car?
It'll probably be a BMW M8 Grand Coupe, just because it's fast, and I'll probably get it customized for since I'm bigger, so just so I have like a little more room.
Would you rather explore outer space or the bottom of the ocean?
I say the bottom of the ocean, just because I wouldn't have to be like on a spaceship or something like that. Because I don't know about a spaceship, so probably bottom of the ocean.
What's the favorite app you have on your phone?
Oh, the McDonald's app.
McDonald's app?
Oh, definitely. Because look, I can go to McDonald's, pull out my McDonald's app, get a free meal, walk out, maybe spin the drive-thru again.
Would you rather spend a week alone in the forest or one night alone in a real haunted house?
I would say one night in a real haunted house, just because it's just one night. I can go about my day after that. 1 week in the forest, whole bunch of animals and dangers that we don't know of. So,
what's your cell phone wallpaper?
It's actually an anime character from an anime called One Piece. His name's Zoro. I like him because he has swords, really, so I didn't really know much to it. So,
if you could play a musical instrument, which one would you pick?
Probably the guitar, I would say, because my mom bought me a guitar when I was young, but I never knew how to really play it. I would just play it, but if I actually knew what I was doing, probably the guitar.
What superhero power would you like to have?
I would say teleportation, just because I would save gas, and I might wake up like a few minutes late for practice. I just teleport to the locker room, change my clothes, run to the weight room, make it in time.
Are you a picky eater, or are you open to try new things? Or maybe what's the strangest food you've ever tried?
I'm open to try new things. I feel like when I was younger, I was pretty picky, but now, I ate alligator before. I don't know if many people have eaten alligator, but I don't know. It just tastes like chicken to me, so I don't have a problem with it.
Now, we all know you're talented on the football field, but if you had to compete in the Olympics, what sport would you like to compete in?
I would probably want to compete in the 100-meter, just because, I don't know, if I was actually training for it, I would like to see me running pretty fast, because I'm pretty big, so I'm not that fast, but, the 100-meter, I feel I can do it.
You do look more like a shot putter, you know that.
Hey, I did do shot put in high school, but I took a little step away from that,
All right, last question. Would you rather travel back in time to meet your ancestors or to the future to meet your descendants?
I would probably travel to the future, just to see if my descendants look like me at all, honestly. That's probably about it.
Dorian, thanks for taking the pads off and being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Coming up, what it's like to be a student athlete with a wife and a young son? Find out as we visit with Marquise Robinson and family in Football in Paradise. Next on Inside the Owls Burrow. Welcome back to Inside the Owls Burrow. I'm Frank Fort. Being a college football player is difficult and time-consuming. Add on to that being a husband and a father, and well, that's a full plate. Here's Marquise Robinson's story in Football in Paradise. Football in Paradise is brought to you by Shiner Law Group, the injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more.
the things that, you know, we pour into each other. So the things I learned from her, I took that and ran with it and applied it to football and just my daily life. Met Tori about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Just met her on campus, just walking around, just thought she was pretty, wanted to go talk to her, and then one thing led to another, and now we're here. We were at church and came up with this big plan, and then the sermon was about how the man of the household should lead the family. And the pastor called me up and called Tori up, and she was behind me and blindfolded her, and I was supposed to lead her through these obstacles. And when she took the blindfold off, and there I was on bended knee.
I was definitely not expecting it when he proposed. I was like in my own little like, oh, this is so great. This is a great sermon. It was in church. And I was like, this is great. And next thing you know, I was like, wait, why are you on your knee? And then it was a whole thing. It was really sweet though. I loved it. It was great.
When we first met, I wasn't doing the best things for me. I wasn't living the best lifestyle for an athlete, honestly. You know, she gave me a new perspective to help me, you know, clean up and cut things out that I shouldn't be doing. I'm a firm believer, and this is what I grew up saying with my parents. If your significant other is there to help you change and be the best you, then, you know, what else do you need? You know what I mean? Once you get married as a student athlete, honestly, things do change, but at the same time it don't. Because I look at it as this, I married my best friend. At this time, she knows the ropes of what's going on with my life in football, and it also comes to an understanding that, you know, yeah, while I'm going at football, I gotta do what I gotta do, but when I come home, I gotta leave football at football and, you know, focus on my wife and what we got going on. So it is a balance, but it's not hard to balance it. You know, it just gotta take the effort to do it.
This is my best friend, and I feel the same way about him. Once it's your best friend, it's like, hey, we got this. We're in it together now.
Noah was born March 7th, 2023 at, I think it was 12:03 a.m. He was 8 pounds and 9 ounces, and that was a roller coaster. That was a roller coaster. Yeah, I think Noah came at the perfect time, because even though this is my last year and I got a lot riding on this year, he is another source of my why, of why I do what I do. He gave me a new energy, a new life, honestly, and a new competitive edge that I will not be denied no matter what the cause is, because at the end of the day, I got to answer to him. And I say that as a joke to my wife. I got to answer to him when I go home if I don't do this, if I don't do that.
Noah changed our lives in a way I don't think I could ever even describe. I can try to put it into words now. I think the best way I could say it just feels full. Yeah, he just completes us. I feel like, I mean, I know that children can bring all types of things, but he brought a lot of joy. He just brought a lot of fullness into our lives for sure, yeah. I definitely think he's a better multitasker now. I think he's a lot better at just kind of taking days as they come. Now that Noah's here, he's just literally taking it day by day. He doesn't run ahead of himself. He's very patient now. Yeah, Noah's changed him a lot.
Just being able to disconnect from football when I get home, because the program that Coach Joey got us on, it is not easy. So having to be able to, okay, you know what, I am tired, I'm hurting this, I'm hurting that. He's not the problem, you know what I mean? He's at home ready to play. So when I get home, I take me a little second, you know, to gather myself, and here I am in dad mode.
It's exciting. I know I'm gonna be happy to see Noah see his dad on the field. I know he's gonna still be really small, but that's exciting to kind of see, you know, his life change from that perspective, knowing that, okay, now not only am I just like a football player who's getting married, I'm also a football player who's married and has a son and a wife in the stands. So I think it's gonna be a completely different vibe for him for football games now. So I think it's gonna be for the better though.
Coming up next, the Owls use yoga to wind down from the stresses of the day. That's straight ahead on Inside the Owls Burrow. Inside the Owls Burrow is brought to you by Adidas, by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, the official sports medicine provider of Florida Atlantic Athletics, by Cedars No Better Hummus, by FAU MBA in Sport Management, helping the sports and entertainment executives of tomorrow, by Phil Smith Kia, by Sage Dental, the official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com. And by Shiner Law Group, injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more. Glad you're with us this week on Inside the Owls Burrow. I'm Frank Fort. Florida Atlantic has increased their commitment to give the players the resources they need to succeed on the field. One of the things the Owls had the opportunity to do this summer was take part in yoga class. Behind the Scenes is brought to you by Go Solar Power. Lowest payment, best equipment, #1 solar installer.
So you can keep it where you are, or you can take it from side to side. So see what feels good.
The benefits that they get, there's so many different benefits to the practice, but flexibility, movement in the spine, movement in the hips and the way they breathe, and concentration. So when they go out on the field, they're able to take these tools to understand their own alignment.
So we're going to do a little balance work. So if you need to support each other.
I've been so impressed, especially the big guys. It's incredible. And the way they have opened up in their hips and their spine. Because that's what happens, you know, when the spine stays congested and there's no movement and there's no breath, it causes so much injury and it affects their performance on the field.
Draw that left hip back. That leg doesn't have to be high, it can be low. And open those arms.
I think yoga can make them better athletes because they're more connected to their body, their mind, the movement from the inside out, and focusing on what they're doing instead of letting them hold their breath and not recognizing how they're moving energetically on the field and in life. It's a mindful practice, and it will only improve every athlete, and especially these guys, because they have such a devotion to what they do. So this is just an added bonus for them to perform and play better.
Namaste. I'm Frank Fort. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week on Inside the Owls Burrow.
Rourke play fake, throws left, intercepted up a deflection, near sideline midfield, to the 40, to the 30, to the Ohio 20, 10, 5. It is an interception return for a touchdown.
This has been a presentation of Playfly.